Coming up on Transformers University, we'll head back to Planet Beast, we'll check out Omega Island, and we'll find out that Sixshot might actually be a hero. It's Transformers Manga 1987 right now on Transformers University. Hello, my friend, and welcome to episode 125 of Transformers University. I am your host, Anthony Brucali, owner, operator, headman behind TFU.INFO, the website, the toy archive. This podcast, TFU News and Views podcast, and oh so much more. I want to thank you for joining me, hopefully, for all 125 episodes of this podcast. We are still in 1987, though we will be wrapping up 1987 real soon. There's only a handful of episodes left. There's only so much more we can cover from this time period. But one of the more unique pieces we will cover right now, and that is Transformers Manga from TV Magazine from 1987. And this encompasses 5 parts, issues 1 through 5, plus a side story that was published in between that wasn't given a number. So we have chapters 1 through 5, plus a story called, I want to get the title right. Why am I turning the page? It's right here. The Decisive Battle on Planet Beast. So, without further ado, we're going to start with part 1, and this one isn't terribly complicated. The Autobots are dedicating a statue to the now dead again Optimus Prime on the planet Athenia. This takes place in the series shortly after Optimus's re-death, if you will, and these stories all kind of take place peppered within other episodes of the Headmaster's cartoon that we've already covered. So we'll punch in where we can and try to figure out where things belong. So you're not going to meet anything too new and out of the ordinary. But this story is very basic. A fight breaks out between the Autobot headmasters and the Decepticon headmasters. They use their headmaster powers, and the Autobots win. There's not a lot here. It's not really that important or interesting story, but it does take us to our interlude story, and that is the decisive battle on Planet Beast. So it takes us back to Planet Beast, home of, the Beast Formers, a.k.a. the Battle Beasts. Our Autobot headmasters, we find out they have titles when they're introduced in this issue. We have Electric Warrior Highbrow, Strike Commander Chrome Dome, Photon Destroyer Brainstorm. Does that mean he uses a Photon Destroyer or he destroys photons? You decide. And of course, Hardhead, who's nothing other than Land Conquistador. Hardhead. And by the way, the translations for these all come from the Viz Media Transformers, the manga, Volume 2. You can get that on Amazon if you use our Amazon link, tfu.info/Amazon. Search it out there. Big help to us. It's a great little book. You should check it out. Volumes 1 through 3 all have some very neat and interesting stuff, which I'm experiencing for the first time here with you. And so this story takes place on Planet Beast. And on Planet Beast, Predaking, the Sharkticons, and Alligatatron, which is the leader of the Decepticon Beast Formers, are terrorizing the Autobot Beast Formers. And interesting note here on Sharkticons being part of Predaking. This is really a form of toy marketing from Japan. So the Sharkticons were part of the Animatrons, which were the Japanese word for Predacons in Japan in the 80s. So the Predacons and the Sharkticons naturally go together here. Plus, Sharkticons weren't sold at retail in Japan. You actually had to fill out a handful of surveys that were packed in with the Beast Formers toys and then send out to get a Sharkticon as a mail away. So these kind of all grouped together in this story. So it's a kind of neat seeing them arranged this way. And so Highbrow and Brainstorm stumble upon Predaking and company and start fighting Predaking. Elsewhere on the planet, Chrome Dome and Hardhead are caught up in vines, and the Autobot beasts come and rescue them, and we find among the Autobot beasts is a human child named Kane, and he looks like a battle beast with a human head. And This story is the only time we will meet Kane in Headmaster's lore, and up until now, as of this recording in 2023, he has never popped back in any other Transformers media. So this is the only time you will meet him, and from here, Brainstorm and Highbrow are captured and held as bait to draw out White Leo, the leader of the Autobot Beast Formers. Kane sneaks in and distracts the Decepticons, allowing Highbrow and Brainstorm a chance to escape. And then a fight breaks out. Two Decepticon beasts take arrows straight to the head. I told you last episode these manga issues can get weird and crazy, and this is certainly one of them. So Drill Frog and Killerfish, who in Battle Beasts were called Horny Toad and Killer Carp, respectively, both take arrows straight to the head. White Leo arrives, and as does Raiden, the Autobot combiner, a train combiner. Raiden combines and defeats Predaking with a move called the JR Kick. So there's nothing really on the JR Kick. I can only assume that's a junior kick, because the Headmaster, the train bots are kind of younger Autobots and treated as such. So I'm guessing that's where it comes from. The Decepticons retreat and the Autobots win. So that takes us to part 2 of the story. In part 2, the Autobot and Decepticon Headmasters fight at an Alaskan base. The Autobots win, and the story itself isn't really terribly interesting, but what is neat is that the whole story takes place around the Transtectors, the heads, not being able to merge with their bodies. And so that's the one interesting part of this part 2 story in this series. The story itself, the battle's kind of meaningless, but it is kind of neat seeing them not being able to combine for a while and having their bodies kept away from them. But really, it's totally skippable. And that will take us to part 3. In part 3, Daniel is aboard the robot train, a.k.a. Raiden, as his train form combined. And the train not only flies through space, but also dives into the ocean. How totally normal. They're looking for a giant squid that is stealing energy from their underground bases, because those bases have been attacked. And they are attacked by, you guessed it, a giant robot squid. Eventually, everyone escapes out of Raiden. Raiden transforms to save the day, combines, and uses the robot squid as like a mace to throw at the other Decepticons. The end. These stories do get weird. There isn't a lot to them, but they do have some really big, weird concepts in them at times. So this one's fun just because of the underwater atmosphere, but there's really not a lot else going on there. These stories do kind of exist in a vacuum. Now, still got 2 more stories to go, and I feel like the last 2 stories are the most interesting. So you will find out about them right after this.
Hey, want to help out this podcast or the website TFU.INFO? There's a number of ways you can do it. Let me tell you how. You can help us directly by joining our Patreon and enrolling as a student at Transformers University. There, you'll get early access to the podcast as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes peeks and perks for as little as $1 a month. Sign up is quick and easy. Just swing on by to www.patreon.com/TFU.INFO. Another way you can help us is by using our Amazon link, www.tfu.info/Amazon. Type that into your browser whenever you want to shop at Amazon, and a portion of what you spend will be contributed back to us. It's that easy. Finally, you don't become the world's longest running transforming toy archive without some help from other fans. We're always on the hunt for photos of figures and accessories we're missing from our pages. If you'd like to contribute, go to tfu.info/help for a list of what we need, or send an email to info@tfu.info. tfu.info, the Alpha Trion and Omega Prime of transforming toys. Now, back to the show.
And that'll take us to part 4, which is by far my favorite out of all these that we've done so far. The Headmaster Autobots and Daniel are chasing Sixshot in space.
Space!
Sixshot has stolen their rations. He has taken food. Sixshot has stolen the food.
Someone shot the food.
And in this fight in space, he flees, and because he has plans to fight the space demon Lord Gratus. we don't actually get to see Space Demon Lord Greatus in this story, and I kind of wanted to. And we find out that as Sixshot goes into this inhabited planet, he uses the food to feed woodland creatures. Sixshot, playing Snow White, having a softer side. And you know who finds this out? Daniel, because Daniel has hitched a ride on his back, and it's like, hey, didn't you feel me back there? And Sixshot's like, no. So Sixshot discovers Daniel, and we find out that Sixshot is actually a mercenary. In the course of this, Sixshot is attacked by space hunters, and they actually happen to shoot Daniel in the arm, in the bicep. So in protecting Daniel, Sixshot attacks the space hunters and shows off all 6 of his modes. And his 7th mode. So this is something I didn't know. Sixshot has a 7th mode, and I guess you can do this with the toy. It's called Wing Wolf, and it's kind of like part winged plane, part wolf mode. So that's pretty neat that he shows off his 7th mode. So I guess that makes him 7-shot. Sixshot, he successfully protects Daniel and reveals that he has a debt to pay to Galvatron and can never join the Autobots. And he leaves Daniel behind, but sends an SOS to Athenia to allow Daniel to get picked up on this strange planet that he just abandoned him on, with no food because he gave him to all the animals. So Sixshot flies away at the end. So this one to me is the most interesting because we find out there is more to Sixshot than just being the ninja consultant. He is a mercenary. He is someone who is for hire and apparently has a sense of loyalty towards Galvatron for some reason. I think some of this will be revealed in the cartoon later on, and it does give some foreshadowing to maybe towards Sixshot's future with the Decepticons. And finally, that brings us to our last story, part 5, which is takes place on a place called Omega Island, where we find Snapdragon and Apeface, the Horicons, looking for a weapon called the Charge Arrow. Chrome Dome and Daniel have already snuck inside, and Chrome Dome is actually in his chrome mode, his head detached from his body, and Chrome and Daniel find the bow and arrow, and there's only one arrow. We find out that this arrow can absorb any natural energy into its tip and unleashes it. Just then, the Horicons attack, and Chrome Dome tries to use the arrow on the Horicons, but they cast doubt at him. They tell him he is not the hero enough to use the arrow, and that doubt causes it to fail to charge. Chrome then has this vision and talks to what feels like the ghost of Chrome Dome. I don't know if he's talking to the body or if there's more here that Chrome Dome used to be someone else. Now Chrome inhabits his body. But in talking to him, Chrome Dome tells Chrome that he has to have courage. And he points to Daniel, who's fighting off the Horicons by himself, even though he is a small human. Chrome Dome then tries again with courage to use the arrow, and it works, and he shoots Apeface right in the head. I mean, I'm not talking about everyone takes an arrow to the head in these stories, and this arrow sets them both on fire. They flee and fall into the sea, and the Autobots win with the power of courage. And this one kind of encapsulates, the simplicity of some of these stories, but also the quick hits of lore. Now we have so many little things to kind of dissect here. We have, the Charge Arrow and Omega Island, and even in some of these other stories, we have Kane showing up and a giant robotic squid. These are all things that could totally be revisited in the show later on. Somewhere else, Sixshot's 7th mode, which I read does appear in the show at some point. We'll have to find out. Now, there are more manga stories to be told and talked about. But for this episode, these were the ones published in 1987 up through December of 87. This last story that we talked about was actually published December 1987. So we will continue this part in a part 2 in 1988. So for now, this wraps up this portion of the manga story. What's on our next episode? You'll have to come back after this to find out.
Thanks for listening to the show. Stick around to hear what's coming up next episode, but first, I want to fill you in on a few ways you can stay in touch with the show. Want to be on the show? Leave us a voicemail at 702-763-4838. That's 702-POD-4TFU. Or send an email to info@tfu.info. Be sure to catch us on Twitter at TFU_info and on Facebook and Instagram under the username TFU.INFO, all one word. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TFU.INFO, where we post all of our podcasts plus special video segments, reviews, and live coverage of Transformers-related events such as New York Toy Fair and New York Comic-Con. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please visit us at www.tfu.info, the world's longest-running transforming toy archive.
So with that, we will wrap up this 125th episode of Transformers University. Next time on the show, we're going to do another 3 episodes of the Headmasters cartoon series. We'll head to Planet Hive. We'll find out about Scorponok's weakness, and we'll head to a twin star system. What does that all mean? I don't know. I kind of just gleaned that off of TF Wiki. I've never watched these episodes, so come along with me and enjoy the ride and see what they're all about. If you know, don't tell me. But if you like this episode, tweet at me at TFU_info on Twitter. You can also catch me on Instagram and Facebook, TFU.INFO, all one word. Same on YouTube, TFU.INFO, all one word. And of course on the website, www.tfu.info. Until next time, I am your host, Anthony Brucali, owner, operator, madman behind TFU.info. See ya.